The Miami Heat are usually linked to superstar players when they come on the trade market. A couple of years ago, they were linked to Damian Lillard. That trade ended up not happening, but the Heat usually make big swings for players. Miami is usually an attractive free agent destination for players, so they don't have issues making big trades. With the news that Giannis Antetokounmpo is considering asking for a trade, the Heat are assumed to be big players in any potential deal. However, the Heat could be held up in a deal for Antetokounmpo because of the Charlotte Hornets. The Terry Rozier trade could end up biting them when it comes to their ability to trade first-round draft picks. Why the Hornets could prevent Heat from trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Right now, the Hornets hold the Heat's 2027 first-round pick as part of the Rozier trade. That could convey in either 2027 or 2028, meaning the pick is tied up. ESPN's Tim Bontemps outlined why the Hornets could be a roadblock to the Heat trading for Antetokounmpo because of that pick. Let's say the Heat want to make a trade for a big star player that comes available. The guy comes available, wants to play for the Heat. The Heat, right now, can trade 2 picks. Their 20-230 first-round pick and their 2032 first-round pick. And that's it because their pick is owed 2027 lottery protected, and if it doesn't convey, it's unprotected in 2028. That means they can't trade the 27 pick, the 28 pick, or the 29 pick. The Heat are trying to get the NBA to give them their pick back, but that looks unlikely. That means that they are behind the 8 ball when it comes to a trade package they can offer to the Bucks for Antetokounmpo. Other teams have better trade assets. The Heat could have issues trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Of course, Antetokounmpo could try to force a trade to Miami. He has some power determining where he would end up in any trade because he has just 1 year left on his contract. That could help steer him to a playoff contender, so he can win a championship. If Antetokounmpo becomes available, the Heat will stop at nothing to try to land him. They would become a title contender if they could add him next to both Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo. Of course, Milwaukee would likely want to have at least one of those players in the trade. Right now, Antetokounmpo hasn't indicated publicly if he actually wants to be traded. Until that happens, the Bucks will not move him. Right now, Milwaukee sits 10th in the Eastern Conference standings. That means that they would have to fight in the play-in in order to make the playoffs. Miami might have to conjure up a more player-centric package if it wants to land a player of Antetokounmpo's caliber. Time will tell if that will be enough to land one of the best players in basketball. The Miami Heat are in a very different place than they were a year ago. They play faster, score more, and rely on a deeper, younger rotation than at any point last season. The offense runs through Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro. Norman Powell has become a reliable scoring engine. Jamie Jaquez has taken a leap, and Kel'el Ware is rewriting Miami's long-term plans at center. The identity has shifted. The window has too. And now the Heat may be staring at an opportunity they rarely get. According to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, a former number 1 pick with franchise-level upside might be available for the lowest cost of his career. He reported that Zion Williamson currently has next to no trade value. And in a recent piece from Bleacher Report's Dan Favale, he's the name that should be at the top of Miami's shopping list. Why the Heat should be in this conversation. The Heat do not chase every star who hits the rumor mill. Their moves are calculated. They look for players who elevate the group without sacrificing development or flexibility. Williamson fits more cleanly than people think. When healthy, he is one of the most dominant downhill forces in basketball. He averaged 24.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists last season. His profile fits Miami's pace and freedom. His ability to collapse defenses would open gaps for Herro and take pressure off Powell. And his physicality blends with Adebayo in a way Miami has not had before. Zion would add an entirely new layer to the Heat's structure. The Zion window. Low cost, real risk. Williamson's value has dropped in a way that almost never happens for a player drafted to be a franchise cornerstone. He is sidelined again. The New Orleans Pelicans are 3-21. They do not control their own first-round pick because of a swap obligation. Windhorst made it clear that New Orleans would not get real value for him right now. It is a rare opening, but the risk also cannot be ignored. Williamson has missed more games than he has played, and the injuries have been unpredictable. Every time he has looked ready to take the next step, something has pulled him back. Miami cannot assume availability or bank on immediate consistency. For the Heat, the risk is not financial. It is rotational and cultural. Bringing in a player with this level of uncertainty requires clarity. But the upside is why the conversation exists at all. If there's a franchise built to give a player stability again, it is this one. How Zion would fit Miami's new core. Miami is building a roster that grows together. Adebayo, Harrow, and Powell form the foundation, with young pieces like Ware and Jaquez adding long-term value. Williamson enters that structure as the wild card who can raise the ceiling. And the cost to acquire him has changed. A Harrow for Zion framework was floated in the past, but with Williamson's value dropping, the price may be a lot cheaper, making the fit even more appealing. Williamson gives Miami a transition force who matches their pace. He gives them a half-court creator who draws help and simplifies life for their scorers. And he gives Eric Spoelstra another lineup dimension without pushing the roster away from its current identity. Miami would not need to rush his role. They could integrate him slowly and build toward the long view. If he returns to form, the entire arc of the franchise shifts. The verdict for the Heat: Miami is not desperate. They are not chasing headlines. They are building something deliberate, something that fits their identity today and grows into their identity tomorrow. But opportunities like this almost never appear. A player with Williamson's ceiling available at a price that protects the franchise. The Heat have already found internal breakthroughs. They have already built one of the most balanced offenses in the league. They have already seen young talent rise faster than expected. A move for Williamson, at the right price, could accelerate everything. Miami has kept the door open for the right star. This might be the moment to see how far it opens. An interesting NBA rumor this week suggested that while the Miami Heat would be interested in a blockbuster trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo, they could also target a deal for troubled young star Ja Morant. This has been a good season for the Heat. Despite being without all-star Tyler Herro for the first month of the campaign, the addition of Norman Powell has turned into one of the best moves of the summer. Plus, high-upside youngster Jamie Jaquez Jr. and Kel'el Ware have taken another very nice development step forward. League sources say that the Heat refuse to include Kel'el Ware in any of those trade discussions. They likewise refuse to package Ware, Jamie Jaquez Jr., Nikola Jovic, and the number 20 overall pick in last June's draft in exchange for Durant, Jake Fisher reports. Rest assured that the Heat have not forgotten that Antetokounmpo was said to have a level of interest in a move to Miami back in 2020 before the Bucks' acquisition of Jrue Holiday-led Giannis to ink the first of 2 Milwaukee contract extensions. Ja Morant on Miami Heat's trade wish list? However, the 2-time NBA MVP is not the only star player that could be traded this year that the Heat could pursue on the trade block. According to Fisher, there have been front office conversations about a potential trade for Memphis Grizzlies guard Ja Morant. The 2-time All-Star has seen his stock plummet over the last 2 years due to suspensions, being often injured, and ongoing drama with the team's current head coach. Yet, the NBA insider claims Miami believes their infrastructure could benefit him. Miami Heat get Ja Morant, Memphis Grizzlies get Tyler Herro, Nikola Jovic. So, if they did try and pursue the troubled star, what would it cost the Miami Heat? Trading for Morant when his value is at a new low would likely benefit the team. A potential deal might only cost the Heat Tyler Herro and Nikola Jovic. Memphis would surely be interested in getting a talented scorer like Herro back in the deal. But the chance to get an interesting 22-year-old prospect like Jovic to pair with Jaren Jackson Jr. for years would be important toward getting a deal done. Giving up Jovic might make it easier for Memphis to make a deal without having to get a future first-round pick back.